the things that we see winning is that they recognize that they can't just do one channel, right? They have to look at their audience and who they're trying to attract, and then they need to look at the channels. They do have to have an omni-channel approach to how are we going to hit the channels where our audience is spending time and increase the number of touches to that audience.
Yeah. Hey, you're listening to Cracking the Code, the podcast for leaders building and growing service-based businesses. If you are in legal or medical or financial services, if you have letters behind your name that qualify you to do what you do for a living, you are in the right place. I am your host, Rob Briggs, here to bring you intel and access that are designed to decode how technology can be and should be impacting your growth. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to Cracking the Code. I'm Rob Briggs, and today we are talking about something that keeps a lot of small business owners up at night. How do you build a revenue engine when you don't have an army of salespeople or a massive marketing budget, right? So my guest today is Sarah Hanlon, CEO and co-founder of Peer Sales Agency. So Sarah's whole philosophy is that revenue generation is a team sport, especially for small businesses where every person and every dollar counts. So Sarah, thanks so much for being on today. Why don't you take a second and introduce yourself for those who may not know you?
Yeah. So I'm Sarah Hanlon, as you said, and I started Peer Sales Agency 8 years ago. Will be 8 years in June. So as you said, our whole philosophy, I started in sales actually before I was in marketing.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of where my whole ethos is sales and marketing really need to work together. Worked at an agency previous to starting my own, and so got to see it was a digital agency, saw like all the things that were possible that I'd never seen before in sales. And that's kind of where my passion for bringing the best of the best in marketing, the best of the best in sales together to actually generate revenue came to fruition. And so Peer was really founded on that. We're better together than running independently.
I love that. So
Yeah.
you've had experience on both sides of the equation. It's two sides of the same coin, but it's often is such a different perspective because the sales team is blaming the marketing team for bad leads, and the marketing team is blaming the sales team for not being able to follow up on time and such. How do you bring the two sides of that coin together in a way that is productive for the business?
Yeah. That is I mean, really what we're talking about is a change within an organization, right? When you are coming from that perspective of marketing blaming sales and sales blaming marketing, it's not that either perspective is necessarily wrong, it's just incomplete. And
Sure.
so that change management of how do you actually reconstruct your sales and marketing departments into a team working together, it's really revenue operations, right? What people are now calling revenue
Yeah.
operations,
Right.
right? How do we bring sales and marketing together? And a lot of organizations are bringing product into that mix. Some are bringing customer success
Yeah.
into that mix, right? Revenue operations is having a moment. And so that is about change in your organization. And so what I say about Peer is that the teams that are winning right now are the ones that recognize that it's a mindset shift and that it is going to be, we are going to be better together. And so setting up that foundation of what does that mean for us as an organization? What does bringing sales and marketing together mean? And what's the
Hmm.
process to take us from where we are today to where we want to be, where the end goal, everybody's end goal is generating net new revenue. And
Yeah.
so um, the teams I see that win recognize like this is a moment where we need to shift the way we've been doing it. It does not mean that sales stops selling, and it doesn't mean that marketing stops marketing. It just means that we need to really work together and be lockstep together. And so, that whole motion changes.
Right.
And so that's what I see. Those are the teams that are winning right now.
I forget who said it, but it was something. So the team's or sales is a team sport, but like everybody on the team is responsible for driving a revenue, whether that be
Yes,
the CEO, the sales team, the marketing team, the janitor, whomever. We're all responsible for our piece of what drives success in the company, right? Um, what
100%.
But you see a lot of small businesses still operate in silos. What's that
Mhm.
biggest mindset shift that has to happen before the tactics even matter?
So we actually have one of the ways that we have found it to be a good like a good motivator for everyone is everybody's looking for how can we be more efficient, right? How can we be more productive? How can we be more profitable? And so one of the ways that we have found works really well with these teams is okay, let's organize around our systems and tools. And so, everybody, I think most people use a CRM at in some capacity.
Sure.
You still see it being used as a glorified Rolodex. That's very common.
Right.
And so the way that we help teams get organized and kind of come together is, okay, we're going to implement a true sales and marketing CRM solution platform that will give you guys insight and guidance so that you're all looking at the same stuff, right?
Right. Mhm.
That's a way that you kind of break down that silos is if everybody can see the same information, they may not care about the same things. I don't anticipate that a sales team is all of a sudden gonna want to look at the marketing email that's going out, right?
Sure.
But giving a campaign wide view so that sales understands the lists that we're segmenting and targeting and how frequently those people are going to get touched and how do we understand what makes that prospect worth engaging from a sales team, what behavior do we need to see, what is marketing looking at to help get that primed for that salesperson to have a conversation. Those key activities or moments in a customer journey, when you can all see it in the same place, that really starts to break down that silo so that sales isn't just like getting a spreadsheet or something or a
Right.
performance report at the end of this is how that did. They're part of the entire journey, right?
Those were the days, huh? The
Right.
you're probably not old enough to remember when sales teams operated on spreadsheets, right? I don't know.
I worked, ironically, what's funny is I started my career in Telemagic, which is like an old school
Yeah.
CRM. Like it lived
Yeah.
on your actual device.
I
That's
Yeah.
how old my skills go back. But yeah,
Like, yeah.
um,
So like, and remember like Act and Goldmine and things
all the
like that.
time. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing how far things have come and then how accessible data is to everyone now. But what about the accessibility of data and like the ability for people who shouldn't be messing with data to get in, just change things? Do you see things happen in a way that you would not want?
I mean, governance is a thing. Sure.
Sure.
Let's make sure that we're honestly what I see more is how we again change management. How do we help our teams see a CRM as something that actually enables them to sell better versus a record keeping place that is a pain in the butt to keep updated. And even that shift, like we're a HubSpot Platinum partner, right?
Okay,
And
sure.
so one of the things that we're really focused on for 2026 is not only enabling our clients to take advantage of the new tools that HubSpot has introduced, the AI tools, Breeze,
Like,
that allows that to be more automated so that those salespeople aren't feeling so encumbered by data entry, right?
sure.
But then that information, how do we then share that with the sales team so that, or the marketing team, so that the marketing team can take action on those lessons the sales team is learning, right? We
Mhm.
primarily work with mid-market service businesses and professional services and manufacturing, right? So
Okay.
it's still very sales. It's a sales led action, right? There's a lot of sales conversations that happen. How do we mine that information and share that with marketing so that they can help sales close deals faster? And
Right.
so that I don't, I mean, yes, of course, governance is a thing, but what I actually want is and encourage and working towards is getting more of that information into the system so that it can be used to help drive more deals closed.
Right. Hmm. So some of the professional service companies that we work with are they're leadership driven, but the person selling the thing is the person doing the thing, right? It's a law
Yeah.
firm, it's like a medical practice, and they often don't see themselves as the salesperson. They're a lawyer, they're a doctor, etc. But they're responsible for driving the revenue in their organization. Do you have ways to help people like that think about themselves as they're actually selling, but the thing that they're selling is just different than somebody selling widgets or whatever.
Yeah, I think in that case, so yes, we also work with a lot of professional services, right? And so in that professional services, you do have this service layer. And so HubSpot in particular has, they have really expanded and they're not just the sales and marketing anymore, right? They say they
Right.
are the platform for the customer. And
Mhm.
so what does that service hub? That tool enables the people that are more on the customer success or the service side of the house to share information in a way that feels natural to them, but doesn't necessarily feel like they're overly selling, but it still gives marketing, sales, etc., the information they need so they can take action and continue to drive, that land and expand type opportunity or selling additional services, etc. But you're so right. They don't see themselves, you might be like, hey, you did such a good job executing this part of the project or the service, whatever it might be. They're primed now for this thing that we could be upselling
Right.
them. And how do
Mhm.
we cue that for that team so that they can feel like what they want to be doing, which is helping their customers, but having
Yeah.
more of a sales, at least a sales lens to it of, this helps them and it helps us as an organization. So
Mm.
there again, mindset shift, right? Because they
Yeah.
haven't traditionally seen themselves as part of that revenue machine. But we all are part of
Right.
the revenue machine.
We
Yeah,
all are. Yeah.
we all
Whether
are.
we like it or not.
That's
Um,
right.
Hey, this is Rob Riggs, and I wanted to take just a second to tell you about Code Conspirators, our sponsor here. And we are a technology focused performance marketing agency serving professional service firms. So that's legal, medical, financial, engineering. If you take a test to do what you do for a living, we help you grow your practice with websites and apps and software and performance marketing. That's organic, paid ads, retargeting, conversion optimization. And we're also doing a whole host of things with CRM, AI, and automation that's been bringing our clients tremendous value. If you're curious at all, go to codeconspirators.com to learn more. Now back to the show.
so the buyer's journey has
Oh,
fundamentally
yeah.
changed over the past 20 years, and then again in the recent 2 to 3 years. What somebody in that perspective, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a financial advisor, et cetera. How should they be thinking about their website differently than they did 5 years ago?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that, so one of the activities, right, when you think about kind of building this foundation of revenue operations and what does that look like? One of the places we start, well, the first place we start is who is that ICP, that ideal customer profile that you're going after? What are the characteristics of that person? Building that persona, right? The next thing we need to do is understand what are the pain points they're having. How do you help them navigate those pain points? How do you solve their problem, right? That becomes our messaging. And then from there, we build a buyer's journey. And then we kind of, at each stage of where they're at, what are some of the questions they're asking themselves, right? What are the goals that they have at that stage? And then we align a sales enablement materials assets, we call them
Yeah,
assets,
sure.
at each of those stages. And so, what do we have? So, for those sales teams that we're working with, what are some of the assets you have? Can we fit those into those different stages, or is that a gap for us and we need to create that asset, right? That
Right.
helps that buyer either self-educate or we can naturally, organically feed that information to them on the site, right? We can direct them to that material um, based on the questions they're asking, the information they're looking at, all those things. So as you think about how does your website change, it first is identifying, okay, who are we targeting? What are their pain points? What are the assets? What are the materials we need to have available? And then how do we strategically map out our website so that it mirrors that buyer's journey, right? And we can kind of just feed that information to them so that they feel like they're just kind of exploring, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually more strategic than that. We're pushing that information to them at the right point that they now can just keep kind of self-educating themselves on the problem they're faced with. So it's
Right.
changed a lot, right? It
Yeah.
was all just back in the day, like when I was first selling, it was me literally faxing. That's how old I am, but either faxing or emailing materials to whoever I was talking to. And now it's about having that information available on your website, on your socials, so that when you're attracting your ICP fit prospect to your socials or your website, or even through chat now, like that's a whole new
Yeah.
thing, that your information is there and that you are part of that conversation of them trying to solve their own problem.
Right. We use that language all the time is that you want to be top of mind when somebody has their problem top of mind,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So the what we see is that people are less likely to buy the first time. People are researchers, and before they even talk to a salesperson. What do you think that means for how a professional services website should be structured? To your point, and how do we communicate what somebody needs in that next step of their buyer journey?
Yeah. And now, I mean, I'm sure you guys are seeing this too, right, with AEO and as people are using the LLMs more to do their research, it's not only like how does your website structure these questions, so that if a
Mhm.
human is coming to the page and looking for that response, but
Right.
now how is that structured so that when a bot is coming to the site and looking for that information, how you've structured it so that they can get that information. That now you kind of have to answer both
Right.
audiences, right? You have to answer the bots, the agents, and you have to answer the people. And you can't ignore either one because there's still people in the end that are looking for the solutions to the problems they have. So
Right.
it's definitely
Yeah.
gotten more complicated.
Yeah, we've got an additional audience. Like 20 years ago, we were solving for the eyeballs audience, and then when search engines came along, it became prevalent,
Yeah,
and then we've got that third audience, um, which is interesting because as agentic becomes more of it takes more of a role in purchasing decisions. They're maybe not there yet, or they might be in some rare cases. It's still the humans making the decision, but when that transfer, when the responsibility shifts toward agentic, the business is failing if they're not taking that audience, the AEO, the AI engines, like if they're not catering to them, then they're not getting a seat at the table that they never
right.
even knew they had, right?
Exactly. I think that's the guidance we're giving our clients right now is, it's even more so. We have been talking for, years since we started Peer. We were like, brochure sites, you need to have sales ready sites. And
Right.
now we're kind of evolving to not only is it a sales ready site, but it also needs to be a agentic ready site, right?
Right.
How do we structure that information? Why it's not enough anymore to just have a good looking site. You have
Hmm.
to have the depth of content there that, the agents are looking for, and frankly, the humans are looking for. Like the agents wouldn't be looking for it if the humans didn't want it.
Right.
And so, it's not enough to just have pretty pictures on your site. It really does have to be the right type of content to help kind of solve those challenges.
Sure. So, thinking about your best clients right now, what
Mm,
are they doing differently this year than they would have, or than your other clients who are not your best clients? They're a little bit harder to work with, or whatever.
yeah, I think so. I know the clients that are, like I said, the clients that are winning, so they're not just doing one thing, right?
Hmm.
They're not just running paid ads or they're not just building content, right? They are going omni-channel, or they're not just relying on their referrals anymore to generate
Sure.
revenue. That was such a common, especially in the market we talk about, professional services. It's not enough just to keep going back to your referrals for new business anymore.
Right.
And so they really are looking at it from an omni-channel perspective. You know, what are we doing in the social channel? What are we doing in the outbound channels? What are we doing at events? Events are making a comeback,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. How about that?
Um, how about that?
Yeah.
What are we doing in all of these channels to not only meet and attract our ICP, but then nurture that ICP once that first interaction has been made?
Yeah.
Because we're in the age of, so we did our own research. You see like 8 to 12 touches before someone can be, that used to be the old stat. So we looked within
Yeah.
our own portfolio. It is over
Mhm.
50.
Yeah. So our math was like 37, but 50 is believable. And
Yeah.
it's not just one channel. It's got to be
No, it's multi-channel. It's that omni-channel approach.
in hours
So
of
that's
consumption,
a
right? Yeah.
that is a game changer.
Right. Hmm. For
So
sure.
those are the things that we see winning, is that they recognize that they can't just do one channel, right? They
Yeah.
have to look at their audience and who they're trying to attract, and then they need to look at the channels. They do have to have an omni-channel approach to
Hmm.
how are we going to hit the channels where our audience is spending time and increase the number of touches to that audience.
Yeah. You have to be where your audience is, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah, I know we're at time, but the is there something that you would have wanted to cover that we just haven't gotten to yet? Like,
Oh,
there's something you want to leave our audience listeners with?
yeah, I love to talk about this stuff. Like this is such a passion of mine. Revenue operations, sales and marketing alignment, like all those things is just so exciting. So I'm
Yeah.
always looking for, people that are in the space that are willing to share things that are winning for them right now. And I love to share like that we found this and it worked really well. We did this and it didn't work very well. So I'll make sure I include my LinkedIn. And if anybody wants to connect, I would love that.
Absolutely. I'll make sure your link to your LinkedIn is in the show notes.
Nice.
Yeah, fantastic conversation. I've enjoyed it. I hate to cut it short, but I know we're all busy, but
We are.
appreciate your showing up today, ready to
Yeah, you
go.
too. Thanks for
Yeah,
having
for
me.
sure.
I hope things go
Absolutely.
well for you guys.
And you too.
Okay, great conversation, right? But don't let the episode end here. We have packed the show notes with everything you need to take action. Key takeaways are down there, as well as links to the resources we mentioned in the show. And also grab our assessments. They're the same deep dive analyses that we use with our high performing clients on a regular basis. And we typically uncover $1 million opportunities that many firms and practices completely miss on their own. And also remember, every successful firm has started with someone, one person who decided to stop accepting good enough and start demanding exceptional. You can make that decision today. Until next time, we will keep conspiring for your success.